All right, moving on to likes. So we've seen now users, photos, and comments. And likes are a little bit similar. They are like the comment schema because when we think about how likes work, on Instagram at least, you like something, you like the particular photo, let's say, it's corresponding to that photo. We need to have an association there. But then there's also the association between me, the person liking it, and the like itself. And that might not matter if we allowed for infinite likes. If anybody could like something as many times as they wanted, just it was a button that clicked and it just kept going every time I clicked it, we could get away with not storing, user information with a like. But even then, it might be nice to see how many times somebody had liked something or how many likes, in general, how often do I click the like button compared to somebody else? It might help us figure out who's a bot. Like on Instagram, that's a big problem actually, are these bots that people write that go and just like photos, like things all the time, create comments that are just cookie cutter. It's kind of frustrating actually if you're a photographer because, you'll post something and then you get excited that you have, 100 people who liked it. And then it turns out a lot of them are bots. If you actually go try and look at them, they don't have any photos posted really. They always comment the same thing. Long story short, in this giant data set here, I actually coded in some bots that we'll be working with. Basically, people who aren't creating much stuff. They're not posting many photos, but they are liking a lot of things and commenting a lot of the same thing a lot of the time. Anyway, back to likes. It's going to look like this. We'll have a user ID and a photo ID and a created at. So our user ID is going to refer to a user's ID, and a photo ID refers to a photo ID. And there's really nothing else. Right? There's no information being stored there, maybe aside from the date or the time it was created, when the like happened. But what else is there to store? Maybe Instagram is doing stuff like whether it was liked from the web version versus the iOS version. Maybe they're storing, other information here, possibly. But for us, this is the basics. We just need a user ID and a photo ID. And every time, a photo is liked by a different user, we get a new like, just like this with the user ID and photo ID. So we'll start by coding this. You might have noticed that I didn't add an ID to likes. I'll explain why in just a second. But let's start by creating our table. So we have create table likes. And don't forget the semicolon. We've got a user ID and a photo ID and our created at. Let's start with created at. We often neglect it. Timestamp, default, now. Okay, nice and easy. User ID is just an integer. We don't want it to be empty. Same thing for photo ID. But then we need to set up our foreign key constraints. Foreign key user ID references user's ID, comma, another foreign key, this time photo ID, references photos ID. Okay, so now let's address why we don't have an ID here. And the main reason is that we don't need an ID. We're not going to be referring to likes anywhere else. If we were, it would be good to add an ID there maybe, but we're not having any table store information about likes. The other thing you might be wondering about is how do we ensure that there's only one like per user? Is there a way to do that in the database? Because right now, if I did this, I could just insert, let's say my user ID is 1 and a photo ID is 1. I could insert a like with user ID 1, photo ID 1, and then insert it again and again and again. And there's nothing stopping that. So what we really want to say is we want a unique combination of the two. There can only be one instance of every combination. And there's actually a way of saying that. We haven't seen it, but you can do this. Primary key, and then we can just say user ID, comma, photo ID. So what this will do is basically not allow you to insert two likes that are exactly the same user ID and the same photo ID. and I'll demonstrate that. If you feel confident, if you trust me there, you can skip, move on. We're done with the schema here. Let's just make sure that it runs. I don't have any syntax errors, of course. Okay, it does. But if you'd like to see me try it out, like the last couple videos, I'll do that now. So if you're still with me, all I'm going to do is take these photos and these users, and I'm going to have some of them like them. So let's take Blue, user ID 1, and that first photo, she created it. That doesn't matter. You can like your own photo on Instagram. So we'll insert into likes. And we have user ID, comma photo ID. So the first one will be 1, 1. So I'm inserting, or Blue is liking this photo. And then let's have Charlie Brown also like it. So that would be a, 2, 1. And then we've got the next photo here, which has a photo ID of 2. Not this, remember this is the user ID who created it, but this has an ID of 2. So let's say Blue also likes that one. So Blue ID of 1 likes photo ID of 2, and she likes photo ID of 3. And then let's say I have user ID 3. I like photo with ID of 3. Okay, so let's start there. We run it, it works. There shouldn't be any problems at this point. But now if I try and do this, insert into likes, user ID, comma photo ID, values, and I do 1, 1. Well, that's not that. There we go. 1, 1, which already is in there. Blue, user ID 1, and then this photo, add blah, 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 76 with ID of 1. We already have that like. But if I try it, you can see I get duplicate entry 1-1 for key primary. So the way it does it is basically combines the two, keeps track of the combination like that with the dash between it. So that's pretty much it. I will copy what we just did and add a note here. If you're looking at these notes later, just saying won't work because of primary key constraint. And I'll comment it out as well. We don't want to run that every time. Great. And next up, we're moving on to a fun one, which is relationships, following, followers, all that stuff.